Coming up, a Jackson County man convicted of double murder is scheduled for execution tonight. We have team coverage. You could qualify for a homestead exemption in Madison County through a new initiative.
There's about 1,450 some odd people that'll reap the benefits of this exemption.
Also, 2 Oconee County students will be honored for being the star students of their graduating class.
It was a bit overwhelming, I was surprised that people would go out of their way to congratulate me.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening. I'm Emma Goldsmith, and welcome to Grady Newsource. Tonight, we begin our show with team coverage of the execution of Donnie Cleveland Lance that is scheduled to happen tonight at 7 p.m. in Jackson, Georgia. Grady Newsource reporter Ashley Carter will bring us the latest from Jackson County. Grady Newsource reporter Anna Glenn Grove has talked to an expert on executions, and Trevor Terry will take a deeper dive into the data behind the death penalty. But first, a look at the timeline leading up to the execution tonight. Donnie Cleveland Lance was arrested for the murders of his ex-wife, Sabrina Joy Lance, and her then-boyfriend, Dwight Butch Wood Jr., after their bodies were found on November 9, 1997. 2 years later, Lance was convicted and sentenced to death in the Superior Court of Jackson County. This case has become extremely complex and has been appealed multiple times, including in the Georgia Supreme Court. Just yesterday, the State Board of Pardon and Paroles denied Lance's request for clemency. And now we turn to Ashley Carter, who just came back from Jackson County. Ashley, what can you tell us about your time in the area where the murders happened 23 years ago?
That's right, Emma. I spent hours in Jackson County at many diners talking to many people about what this execution means to the Jackson community. And surprisingly, Emma, only one person knew who Donnie Cleveland Lance is. I spoke with the mayor of the city of Jefferson, who thinks it has to do with Jackson County's large population growth.
Yeah, I've been the mayor for 2 years. Because there's so many new people in Jefferson now, it probably doesn't have much of an effect. But when it happened, it had a major effect. Just because it brought some crime to Jefferson that had never been here before. In fact, you're probably the first one that said anything to me all week. I expected more questions, more comments, but I really haven't heard much.
I have been working here with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office 31 years. And I've been in law enforcement 36 years. And when I started here at Jackson County Sheriff's Office in 1985, and the growth in Jackson County, I was born and raised here, so the growth is like something I've never seen. So there may be people that do not know what happened 23 years ago. My heart goes out to all involved, to all the families that are affected, all the friends that are affected by what occurred 23 years ago.
Now let's take a look at Jackson County's population growth, because it has been some serious growth. Let's start in 2010. They had 60,000 people, and in 2018 they saw large growth, 10,000 more residents, moving it to 70,000 people, and that's only an 8-year span. So imagine what it was when these murders happened. So they've seen a large population growth, which puts things in perspective, Emma. Now, regardless of if people know it or not, Lance's execution is still planned to happen in less than 2 hours.
Thank you, Ashley. And now, Grady Newsource reporter Anna Glenn Grove has spoken with UGA instructor Todd Crone about the impact tonight's execution in Jackson, Georgia will have on the United States as a whole. Anna Glenn, what did you hear from him?
Yes, so Mr. Crone is a sociology instructor in the Criminal Justice Department here at UGA, and he's researched historical methods of execution. He pointed out that a lot of people don't actually realize that the execution of Donnie Cleveland Lance is happening tonight, or even happening at all.
Homicides that most people haven't heard of, committed by people that no one's heard of. The death penalty is being sought less and less because of the expenses involved. It's very expensive for the counties and the jurisdictions to seek the death penalty, so fewer and fewer people are going to death row. It's a regional phenomenon. It tends to be, I think, more in terms of the politics of, obviously more conservative areas are more likely to support the death penalty, and the South is much more conservative in that sense. So that's not surprising to see it carried out that way. Yeah, when crime goes down and it's low, support for the death penalty tends to drop. When crime goes up, it tends to rise, and it's been relatively flat in the last 15 to 20 years or so. So I would say it's probably connected to that.
Thanks, Anna Glenn. We now turn to Grady Newsource reporter Trevor Terry, who is taking a deeper dive into the number of executions throughout the past 20 years, with a specific look at Georgia in 2019.
Thanks, Emma. So, like Mr. Crone said, the death penalty is being sought less and less, and that's evident here on this graph. In the last 21 years, the number of executions in the United States has decreased drastically. Shown here in 1999, there were 98 total executions. And while that number has fluctuated over the last 21 years, there's clearly been a significant decrease. There were just 22 total last year. Donnie Lance's execution would be the second in the United States and the first in Georgia this year. Now, let's take a look at 2019. This map shows that a majority of the executions are taking place in the southern part of the country, with an exception to South Dakota, which had 1 execution last year. Texas led the nation with 9, and Georgia had 3. So, in conclusion, the number of executions has decreased in the last 21 years, making the case like the one that we have today with Donnie Lance very impactful on not just the state of Georgia, but the country.
Thank you, Trevor. We will continue to follow this story and keep you updated. Now, we turn to other news of the day. Burglaries are decreasing in Athens-Clarke County. Police say it has to do with surveillance systems. Grady Newsource reporter Will Wen explains.
You don't expect that to happen to you because I had never had any type of crime happen to me necessarily. Yeah, and the house just kind of felt different after. We didn't really want to live there after that.
Catherine Noel's experience sent chills down her spine over a year ago when she became a victim of a burglary. Burglaries are terrifying. Luckily for Catherine and others, Athens-Clarke County has begun to see fewer each year. As you can see from the graphic, burglaries in Athens have declined from 2009 to 2017. Jeff Gillen has been with the Athens Police Department for 3 years. He thinks he might know what is causing this decline.
What has driven numbers down is, quite frankly, just surveillance systems are so much cheaper than they used to be. You can go buy a surveillance camera and put it on your door. You can put it on your desktop, on a desk somewhere. Those things are very inexpensive and they do provide a deterrent.
You can purchase cameras in-store or online for as little as $25. You can also sign up for a monitoring system for $28 per month. In Catherine's case, her system wasn't working, giving an opportunity for the burglary to happen.
All of our cushions were out and our furniture was all over the place.
Even with burglaries decreasing in Athens, it's still best to take precaution.
Always leave your lights on. Lock your doors, lock your windows.
So if you live in Athens, a security system might not be such a bad investment. Be aware and stay safe. Will Win, Grady.
In Madison County, there has been an increase in automobile break-ins. Grady Newsource reporter Cassidy A. Thomas takes a deeper look into why this is occurring in a normally quiet and safe community.
Since the first of the year, Madison County residents have encountered 10 automobile break-ins. In a normally quiet county, residents have come together in an attempt to catch male suspects that have been seen on multiple security systems breaking, entering, and taking items out of vehicles. Captain Jimmy Patton says these type of incidents come in waves and proposes neighborhood watch programs to combat this matter.
Just to lock your vehicle at home. Like I said, we still have a huge problem. People do not lock their vehicles, and it just makes it easier for these guys. The biggest thing is to lock the vehicle. And motion detector lights, anything like that in front of the home is great. Anything like that, anything to put the spotlight on the people, a lot of times it prevents them from even attempting.
A few of the items that have been taken over the past few weeks include crossbows, pistols, rifles, hunting gear, cash, and more. While some of the items have been returned and retrieved, others have not. A Madison County resident and a victim of the recent string of automobile break-ins tells us.
I mean, the worst of it is, and my wife feels, she's uneasy because I leave out every morning early, that somebody had the gall to actually be out there in our yard with us in the house going through our vehicles.
There are 3 people who are in custody at another agency that we have linked to some of these internautos, and we are pursuing charges on those.
Cassidy A. Thomas, Grady Newsource.
Up next, Madison County proposes a new homestead exemption that can save some homeowners money if the initiative is passed.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in, help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Attention travelers. Next Tuesday, a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Food, water, and phone service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Winder-Barrow High School has a new interim principal taking over the spot after the former principal was promoted to a chief administrative position in the county. Grady Newsource reporter Anna Glenn Grove introduces us to him.
Winder-Barrow High School began this semester with a new face as head of the school. Derek Maxwell has stepped in as interim principal until the end of the year. You don't see interim principals very often because of the transition and training it takes to hire someone new. If they do occur, typically it is due to a scandal. This time, it was because of a promotion of past principal Dr. Al Darby. Dr. Darby's boxes aren't even out of the office yet, but Mr. Maxwell has already settled in.
You want a smooth transition, and it's been one of the smoothest I've dealt with in 20 years, so that's good.
Mr. Maxwell sent out a hello letter before taking over the office. In it, he talked about how he wants to reach out to every person who is a part of the Winder-Barrow community.
Here, everybody's extremely welcome. It's a real tight-knit community, very supportive. Colors are easy to get used to.
Winder-Barrow's colors are red and black, just like his alma mater, UGA, right down the street. While the colors feel familiar, the role of interim principal does too. The same situation happened in his time at Cedar Shoals High School, so choosing Mr. Maxwell for the job made sense.
That was a big plus that he already had the experience, several years of experience. And a lot of it too, also his personality. He's just really easy to talk to.
Mr. Maxwell said becoming an interim principal can be hard because typically you are thrown right in. But Dr. Darby was able to work closely with him before he began his principalship.
We were just kind of piecing together a system support that kind of went through for a while, but ultimately, we had to kind of firm some things up and get some things in stone.
In his time, he will focus on upholding old traditions learned from Dr. Darby while also pushing the school to innovate and move forward. His legacy may not end with this semester, though. Mr. Maxwell is planning on becoming principal.
He built trust very quickly, and you got to have that in order to lead. So it just seemed like a natural fit to put him in as interim to kind of keep the ship steady and move forward.
Anna Glenn Grove, Grady Newsource.
The tax commissioner of Madison County proposed a new addition to the homestead exemption that could provide an additional $8,000 for those over 70. Grady Newsource reporter Savannah Schmidt has more.
This initiative was thought up by Lamar Dalton after he saw how much the elderly in Madison County struggled to make ends meet. This addition could provide an extra exemption to people over 70 who, even with the other exemptions, still need more assistance.
What the new exemption is an $8,000 exemption off of the fair market value, in addition to the $10,000 exemption that's already out there for the elderly in Madison County.
Dalton claims that there are about 1,400 people that could reap the benefits of this exemption if it passes.
In the day-to-day performance of my job, I come across just dozens and dozens and dozens of elderly who can't make it on Social Security.
Richard Martin, a real estate professor at UGA, says that local governments will have to raise the same amount of money from the property taxes no matter what.
It just means everyone else is going to foot a little bit more of the bill if certain classes of homeowners are made exempt.
Dalton realizes that this won't be an easy vote, but he feels it's a step in the right direction.
While I am a tax collector, and a lot of my duties is pretty bad stuff, you know, collecting taxes, tax sales, I have an obligation to help people as much as I possibly can.
In today's age of digital technology and e-commerce, a local flea market is still growing. Grady Newsource reporter Trevor Terry examines how they've done it.
In a day and age of online sales, Pendergrass Flea Market continues to grow.
So when we're counting cars, we're averaging, right under 10,000.
Moser says they've grown by 10% in the last year. Moser estimates that as an increase of roughly 2,500 people per weekend from the last year. But how is Pendergrass competing with online markets? Elizabeth Littlejohn believes that customers still value seeing, touching, and testing items before they buy them.
Even though technology has grown and is overpowering so many of us, there are many of us out there who want that contact.
We're able to have products change more quickly than big box stores, I would imagine.
Now behind me are just a few of the hundreds of cars that are here at Pendergrass Flea Market today. Now, that's becoming a normal thing here. People are traveling from all across the world to see what they have here in Jackson County.
All kinds of people. Everybody comes here.
I've got people from Greenville, South Carolina that come over here just to buy peanuts. I've got people from Conyers, Georgia, Covington, Monroe.
The vendors believe that it's the family environment and the vast variety that continues to grow the flea market.
I think they enjoy coming and seeing small businesses and somebody that they know.
And the flea market is also inspiring future business.
And what happens, people come here and walk around and buy stuff, and the next thing you know, they're opening up a business here.
Trevor Terry, Grady Newsource.
I'm Margaret Full with your Grady Newsource Sports Report. Tonight, we'll be talking about the 54th annual Super Bowl coming up this Sunday and what some UGA students are predicting. All that and more coming up after the break.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90-mile-per-hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
now sports.
Good evening. I'm Margaret Full with your Grady Newsource Sports Report. The biggest football game of the year is just around the corner. The San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs will face off for the Lombardi Trophy in Miami Gardens, Florida this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. In preparation for Sunday's game, let's take a look at how the teams wrapped up this past season in a brief Super Bowl history of both teams. Both the 49ers and the Chiefs finished off this season strong, with the 49ers finishing at 15-3 and the Chiefs at 14-4. For the 49ers, this is a big change from last season when they finished with a 4-12 record, while the Chiefs didn't finish off much different from this year at 12-4. If the 49ers win this weekend, it will be their first Super Bowl win since 1995 when they defeated the San Diego Chargers 49-26. If Kansas City were to take home the trophy, it'd be their first Super Bowl win in 50 years and their first appearance in the Super Bowl since they defeated Minnesota 23-7 in the 1970 Super Bowl. We asked our Instagram followers who they predicted to win, and 64% of people said the Chiefs, while 36% said the 49ers. I was curious about what students think, so I quickly went out and spoke with 6 students right outside at Tate Plaza, and I didn't bump into anyone who believed the 49ers could take home the trophy this weekend.
I feel like the Chiefs gonna win because it's hard for you to stop Tyreek Hill, then you got to stop Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Patrick Mahomes, and one offense.
Go with the Chiefs. Chiefs all day.
I think the Chiefs are going to win.
The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
With your Grady Newsource Sports Report, I'm Margaret Full.
I'm Kevin Keeley with the Northeast Georgia weather, and today I'll be talking to you about the 5-day forecast here in Athens, any potential chances of rain we may have this weekend, and what to expect when preparing for the big game on Sunday.
Hello. Hi. I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you, and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again? Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come on in.
Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away, not to mention zucchini flower. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh.
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta, a different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it. This is delicious. What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party? He's not even funny. Warning sign, those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
And now, the weather.
Welcome back. I'm Kevin Keeley with the Northeast Georgia forecast, and today I'll be talking to you about any potential chances of rain we may see here in Athens, and we'll look ahead towards the weekend. This evening, Athens will be mostly cloudy throughout the night. Temperatures will drop down to the low 40s with a 30% chance of rain and winds gusting northeast at 5 miles per hour. Looking ahead to tomorrow, the high in Athens will be about 57 degrees, be mostly sunny throughout the day, 0% chance of rain, and the winds will be gusting west about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now looking ahead at the 5-day forecast here in Athens, Wednesday and Thursday we'll see temperatures in the mid-50s before Friday dipping down to the 40s and a 50% chance of rain early on. Saturday and Sunday temperatures will increase into the 50s again with the lows in the low 40s and upper 30s on Saturday. For Grady Newsource, I'm Kevin Keeley.
Coming up, we learn about 2 Oconee County students and their reaction of being chosen the star students of their graduating class.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Is your family in need of more quality time together?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Nature is best enjoyed together. So bring the whole family to discover all the bonding and stress-reducing benefits parks and forests have to offer. Visit discovertheforest.org and trade in phone time for family time.
Birds, squirrels, chipmunks, grass, worms, bugs, trees, rocks, and other objects in nature cannot talk. If you'd like to have a conversation while visiting nature, you will need to bring humans along. We strongly recommend starting with your family.
Na 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 na, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Every year, the Oconee County School Board honors the students with the highest SAT scores and in the top 10% of their class as their star students. Grady Newsource reporter Lainey Tagliaferri introduces us to these 2 young men, giving us a glimpse into who they are outside of the classroom.
This year's star students at North Oconee County and Oconee County High School are David Hahn and David Burke. Every year, the county school board recognizes students for their hard work, dedication, and academic excellency.
And I wasn't expecting to get this high of a score. I was pretty surprised.
When I got my SAT score back, I knew it'd be competitive, but I didn't know it was like an award.
As the exciting news has spread throughout the county, both students have received high praise for their accomplishment.
It was a bit overwhelming, you know. I was surprised that people would go out of their way to congratulate me.
Both of these students are not only highly accomplished in the classroom, but have plenty to be proud of outside of school as well.
I'd say my #1 hobby outside of the classroom is 4-H. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that I'm a part of it.
Just down the road from Hahn, David Burke has more than just great test scores to put on his resume.
I'm a captain on the varsity soccer team here, and last year we won the state championship.
Both students were asked to choose a teacher to be honored alongside them. David Burke shared that it is not a coincidence that this is the 4th year in a row that calculus teacher Jake Forrester has been chosen.
He's just so committed to what he does, and you can just tell like he enjoys it and he's passionate about it. Like his excitement just rubs off on you.
As for David Hahn, he said that the star teacher he chose may have been surprised with his selection.
Mr. Ross is kind of a mentor I can look up to for leadership, community service, and just helping others.
Hahn and Burke are headed to the University of Georgia next year, both excited for what the future holds. Lainey Tagliaferri, Grady Newsource.
Thank you for tuning in for tonight's show. For more information on the stories you've heard and more, visit us at gradynewsource.com. I'm Emma Goldsmith, and good night.
Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
What to expect when you're expecting?
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom,
You don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Our first live show critique. First of all, you guys did absolutely amazing. It is absolutely phenomenal that this was our first show of the semester. This is normally the kind of show that we get a month in. So I am very impressed. Like, for one thing, I know you guys had a lot of time to prepare and some of this stuff was done on Monday, but everything but a single SOT was in by 4:30. And like, I know when I was giving the presentation, I was saying, hey, hard deadline 4:30, have your stuff in. Nobody has their stuff in by 4:30 this early in the semester. And you guys did that. So I'm very impressed, I am very thrilled, and I am so happy to have you guys in this class this semester. Also, it was a slightly complicated show. We had 3 extra people in the studio in addition to just the anchor. And we were swapping cameras around all the time. That makes it a very complicated show. And so it was a very ambitious show, and you guys knocked it out of the park. Though to make shows like this go a little bit smoother, first of all, when naming files, Morgan, can you close that door for me, please? When naming files, don't use any special characters. Don't use dots, dashes, backslashes, or anything like that. Only spaces or underscores. Because the thing about dots and backslashes is that they can be actionable code, and sometimes when the TriCaster's looking for files, it will see that and go, oh, I'm supposed to be looking for another file folder, but I can't find one with that name. So it doesn't recognize that video clip is actually a file, so it can't find it. So basically anything that could be actionable code, dots or backslashes or dashes, even those can get in the way sometime. Don't put those in the names for your files. Let's see here. Be in the studio. Anchors, co-anchors, reporters at the smartboard. Be in the studio by 4:30, and do not leave the studio until we are no longer live. So that means like once we're in B block, because at that point we're in playback, and there's no chance that we're tracking audio from the studio. Because the thing is, it is very echoey down there, as I'm sure you've noticed, so footsteps of any kind will echo and get picked up by the anchor's mic. That's why we keep the door closed, so that you can't hear anything going on in the control room, and that's why generally anyone who's working down there really shouldn't wear heels. Let's see here. But yeah, today was a fantastic show, and I am so thrilled with how great you guys put this together. Everyone was on top of things. You all communicated very well. It was an ambitious show, and it was very clean. So I am thrilled, and I'm very excited to see what the rest of the semester is going to be like. Unfortunately, that means you guys have set the bar very, very high. So you're going to have to live up to that for the rest of the semester. So, you know, have fun with that. This was our director for today, and he's going to go ahead. Yep. and he's just going to go ahead and share his experience for the show.
All right, cool. If you guys don't know me, Jackson, directed the first one today. First exciting thing coming in is we have new software for the rundown, so it was interesting. I mean, about the same things, but just reading it differently and just different ways of organizing it. But, you know, just getting used to that as we were setting up. I had a little bit of confusion just the way that the Emmys were set up and not doing this in about 2 months. But luckily I was able to not mispunch the wrong thing, but definitely had to put a lot more mental effort into making sure that the right thing was punched. So that, like, kind of distracted me from a few things, but there really wasn't, I guess, too many mistakes, especially for the first one coming back. Going off of kind of what she said, this was a fun show to punch. It wasn't just like going back and forth from, like, you know, leads to packages. So I'm really excited what you guys produce in the future and just like more fun shows to direct. So I'm excited for that. And then awesome. Good job, guys. Go Dogs.
All right, that's everything that we have to say. Have a good rest of your post show.
New software with complexity, new people, you don't even know people's names. I'm just so grateful and impressed with what you did, and I'm really excited that I have such a great day. I'm so lucky. I mean, you guys are going to make me cry. It's just an amazing, I feel very, very lucky to have you, and I just can't wait to see what we're going to do together, each and every one of you here. And I really, really thank you, and I'm speechless. I'm so impressed that this is our first show and it went so smoothly, and we had such interesting content. It was just baptism by fire, and Ashley came in and she's like on the story of this new story. She had an amazing package that we were going to run today, and what she did was, I don't know how she pulled it off, but because she was so, you know, she just didn't give up. And finally she told me, I can't find anybody. It was just such an unpredictable story that she didn't find anybody who would talk to her. So finally she says, I'm going to do one more person, and that person happens to be the mayor. Now, how strange is that? I mean, it's just amazing. It was meant to be, but anyway, I will give the floor to our amazing producers, and especially Dara. Guys, thank you. Thank you so very much. Dara, this baptism by fire, it was just amazing. I cannot believe you've never produced and that this is your first live show. We did a little mock show where you didn't even know what a rundown was, and that was on Monday. And look at what you did today. You totally, you know, you went with Ashley came in, and you totally changed the whole show, and all of a sudden we were going to have you know, this umbrella lead with the team coverage on the burglaries and crime, and it turned out to be on an execution. Yes, the floor is yours. Congratulations, truly impressive. We were very lucky to have you, you know, blaze this path now for our other producers, and give them the courage that even if you have never produced before, you can do it and achieve an amazing show. You know, as you heard Sarah say, this is something she expects after people have been doing this for 1 month. All of you. So, congratulations, and the floor is yours. Thank you, Professor D. One thing that I would like to say is that today, you all were just amazing. Like, you know, you can't do it alone. No, it's a team effort. And thanks to Ashley for the lead about the execution. Because, you know, I was sitting here earlier in the morning, like, execution?
And
who left to get killed?
And Trevor was actually the one that brought it to my attention. So thank you, Trevor, for Trevor. Big shout out to Trevor, because like Dara said, it does take a village, and that's something I'm learning too. In this industry, sometimes we get really caught up on, I can do it alone. But thank you, Trevor. Hayden, I'm sorry, dear, I'm going to give it back to you. But Hayden, you helped me so much today making that graphic while I was putting other stuff together. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. Also, thank you, Anna Glenn, with like you and Trevor, that whole team right there. That was also amazing in bringing like the whole A block together, because the B through E block, that was basically everybody's stories, that what we did Monday. But the A block, I was kind of nervous about because it was totally different and totally new things. And so you guys are awesome, amazing. Just thank you, because I would consider myself a visual creative, but however, I may not see things that you guys may see, and having our ideas bounce off of each other, how we can make this a good show like it was today was very, very interesting, and I'm glad to work with you guys in the future. Also, I am the producer for our last show. So, I know we will, not hopefully, I know we will produce great shows that Monday and Wednesday, the week of April 27th, and it will like compete with CNN, okay, CBS 46, okay? We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. But thank you. That's all I gotta say.
Amazing job also. Yes. With your Grady Daily, with the way you came up with ideas, even for a poll that you worked with Margaret for this poll that we did for the Super Bowl. And so tell us how the day was for you. This is your first time that you did the Grady Daily, first time you were posting.
So the Grady Daily was like a lot to put together in the amount of time. I thought it'd be easy, like to get 3 short things and just put them together, but the verification process is lengthy to make sure that everything's coming out right, that we're not like misleading anyone. So I guess I didn't realize how involved that was. So definitely take that into consideration when you're the digital producer. And then I wish I'd gotten to post a lot more, just because y'all had such great content. And in my head, I was like, okay, so it has to be something that's like put together, wrapped up with a bow. And when Dr. Bright came in, she was like, no, like literally just take a shot and like throw it out there with some context. So if I'd known that earlier, like that's what I would have been doing, and like pulling from y'all's interviews and doing that a little bit more. So I hope I get to do this again so that I can kind of know what I'm doing. And this week was a little bit more like learning and trial and error. But I liked like being all around the newsroom and like helping you with your graphic and like weighing in on everything. So that was really fun. I mean, I have no complaints about anybody. Emma, you're an incredible anchor. I mean, really, like, have blown it out of the park both days, not a single slip up. So yeah, I think that I feel really lucky to be in this room with people who are so talented and already have it so together. So.
Agreed, totally. Yes, Emma, incredible. You're a natural. You were enjoying yourself. Just a little thing. You had a little bit of a smile going from one story to the other during our team coverage. Watch that. Plus, always think you're on air, because you never know when somebody's going to punch the camera. So, especially when it's an execution, you know, you've got to stay on the story, even if it's a package or whatever. Maintain your professionalism and serious attitude, even when you're not on camera. But that's just, I'm nitpicking. You did beautifully, and what I really appreciated is how you wrote our umbrella lead. You'd never written something like that. You worked to make the graphics more interesting, although I think we can enterprise a more interesting way of doing team coverage with having pictures. I didn't want to ask that of you guys, to have pictures of the reporters as we announced which reporter will be bringing us which angle of the story. That's something we can do next time when we have team coverage. And we can brainstorm how to make it more interesting. But this was just amazing how everybody, you contributed to what Ashley, the amazing things that, and I want you to tell us the story, because each one of you can learn from her perseverance, and how when you persevere you get the mayor to talk to you without even knowing what the mayor looks like, because you've just started your beat. And Anna Glenn and Trevor, that was amazing what you were able to pull off, you know, get an interview with a professor who put this in perspective. You you're just a natural. I mean, the way you were explaining and pointing, and you know, your graphics were interesting, and you were animated, and you knew your stuff. Wonderful, wonderful. Both and all of you, the way you worked together. Everybody was saying, "What can I do to help?" That was an amazing team effort, and it was truly, truly impressive. And the rest of you, each and every one of you, you had a new package as well. And what I noticed about you, I love the way that you thought of filming the two students from different angles. And so you had one of the star students from this angle and the other one from, and that contributed a lot to your package. Very impressed. And Ashley, you need to tell us what you did today. It was amazing, and each and every one of us can learn from the moment you heard from Trevor that you had this breaking news story in your county. So how did you pull this off?
That's a good question. It has been a long day. It has been a long day. But I remember the team from Augusta was here, and they looked at me and said, "Your story isn't going to come with you sitting in here." And I said, "I have to go." So I got my stuff and I went to a coffee shop, and I looked so suspicious. I was so scared, but I was in there, and I just asked people, "Are you from here? Do you know what's happening tonight?" And from there, they were like, "No, what's happening tonight?" And I was having to explain it to them. So I would ask older people because I just assumed they would know. They didn't know either. So I said, "It's time to call the sheriff." The sheriff didn't answer the phone. I said, "I'm going to the sheriff's office." So I went to the sheriff's office. I said, "Ma'am, is she here?" She said, "No." I said, "When will she be back?" She said, "An hour and a half." I set my alarm on my phone for an hour and a half, and I went to another restaurant.
Yes.
And the other restaurant, I saw this old man kind of sitting by himself, but I didn't want to talk to him. So I was talking to these other people who were like, "That has never happened here. There's no execution happening tonight." And I said, "Thank you. Thank you." I went right back in and talked to that guy that was sitting by himself, and we didn't end up using him, but he pointed me in the correct direction on where I needed to go. So long story short, went back to the sheriff's office, and she walked me through how the population has grown more than she has ever seen before in Jackson County. And I said, that's my story. The story is this case rocked Jackson County 23 years ago, and now no one knows about it. Why is that? So I really wanted to get someone on the street, just a random person, to, talk to me about, have you heard of this? You don't know anything about this. No. So it was a guy coming out of a frozen yogurt place, and I said, "Sir, do you live here?" And he said, "When you say live here, do you mean the mayor?" And I said, yes, actually. "Hi, Mr. Mayor." I said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And that's how I got those interviews. But it has been a long day. It has been a long day riding around, sitting and waiting, but it really paid off.
It really did. It really did. And
I think if we can do the whole team reporting again, I love that. I mean, I think it makes it feel like a little bit like a real newsroom, like we're doing big stories and we don't each have small little ones, which is good also, but the whole big putting one thing together was really cool, and that was cool to me how it developed into a story about how the population's grown, so that's why nobody knows. When you asked me to make that graphic, I was like, why do we care about the population? And then I was watching it and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So.
And thank you again, because
it took me 5 minutes. Okay. This is no problem.
Well, I also want to commend each and every one of you. Margaret, your sports was wonderful. You were animated. I'll just say a little more lipstick. It's a vanity thing. Yes, and I love the fact that you did the polling, and we played a little bit because you had a challenge today, right? You came to me and you said, I swear I asked 6 people and everybody was rooting for the 49ers. So what do I do with that? So we did a little, we put the poll up because it was sort of more objective, because it was showing both sides of the story, and then you played with a little bit of a sense of humor at the end to explain to the viewers that you just, you were not putting, your finger on the, on the balance. You really couldn't find anybody. So these are little things that, all of you had little challenges today, and you pulled it off, and your graphics were interesting. You figured out how to change graphics, create different kinds of graphics. We didn't get to see Kevin's longer weather with the Super Bowl weather, but again, both of you were watching the news, and both of you, whether it was weather or sports, had the news sense, and that's very impressive. All of you improved your packages, and I think you learned that first sentence. I kept telling you guys how important it is, the first sentence, and you came and you'd made the changes and made your packages more impactful, starting with Will, you started with the person who was impacted by what was happening in your county, and you did a great graphic. That was a huge improvement. It's a great package, and each and every one of you, Trevor, you also improved on your package, and Anna Glenn, in addition to helping Ashley and making this amazing team coverage that we achieved. And Savannah, with you two, we played, and I pushed you on that first sentence, and all of you just, I can see that you're hardworking, you were giving it your best, and I just can't wait to see because you're starting at a very, very high level. And Cassidy, I loved what you did with the change of the stand-up and how you immediately, figured out that, oh yes, in the stand-up I can put things I can't show, interesting things that were told to me, the things that had disappeared from people's cars. She figured out, she changed her stand-up and said that in a bridge stand-up in the middle on camera, saying these are the things that disappeared. And also, all of you improved and worked on things. And again, Emma, amazing. You are natural on camera. All of you actually who appear today on camera are naturals. So just keep doing what you're doing, more of it. And because I know that Deborah, she's going to be your producer again. She's going to be, the bar is going to be much higher because she knows where you started, how high you started. Having said all of this, truly impressed. Love you guys. I feel I'm extremely lucky. I just wanted to kind of remind us of the little challenges we had, especially with the primary sources, that I had to kind of push all of you to look at primary sources. And you got it immediately. Trevor had to change his graphics because I probably wasn't clear enough that we could only use .gov and .org sites as an exception. And so I had to make...
.org, right?
.gov. .gov is what we use, and .org is an exception. Yes, yes. It's been a long day. So basically, he and Anna Glenn found a .org, and we were able to use the graphics in the right way. So bear in mind, it's always .gov with a lot of exceptions. We could do a .org, but the .orgs, they are nonprofits usually, but they have their own mission, right? So we're looking for like the primary source, like a government, like an official site, where there is no mission or a cause or something that could cause people to interpret the data in a different way. So that's why we want to do .gov. So have that in mind. The first sentence of your packages, I'm going to be on you. Because like Cassidy had an amazing second sentence, but it was too late to make it into a first sentence, but she got it. I know next time, I can't wait to see the first sentence. perspective, and that's what Savannah was able to achieve, and I think she got it, what I was trying to talk about, how you put things in perspective, and you managed to achieve that. Yeah, that was all I wanted to just kind of talk about, the primary sources, how important they are. The first sentence, putting things in perspective, and yeah, those were my little notes. And looking ahead now, you understood how much work it takes to pull off something. Day of, Ashley, you saw what it is. So start working again. I hate to say this, I know how hard you work today, but all of you need to start like yesterday to work on Monday, because the weekend, nobody works, you can't get any interviews, so by Friday you have to have lined up some stuff. And I know Savannah already is working on something. She's got interviews lined up for tomorrow. So just giving you you understand it. I don't need to tell you how difficult it is, and that you have to have, one main idea and then a fallback one if it doesn't work out. Do you have any questions for me? Anything? Or any comments? That we've got another 5 minutes. I would love to hear from you guys. Anything you noticed, anything you'd like for us to change moving forward for Monday, anything you'd like to share, anything you learned today, anything you can do better. And if you do, grab the mic.
Okay, so today I learned that communication as early as possible, especially with like Sarah and all the people who, the volunteers who put in so much work, is really important, because my second graphic, I really wanted to use the smartboard, so I could like kind of point and draw and circle and all that fun stuff. And it was just too last minute. Like I should have told them an hour before I did, so that, I could get comfortable with it and they could set it up and all that. So that's just something I learned today that might help anyone else in the future. If you want to use the smartboard, just let them know early, because you also have to send it in a different format, like on a Google sheet or something like that, so that they can put it up on the smartboard. So just communicate as early as possible.
Want to share? Any obstacles you overcame? Anything that surprised you? Anything that fazed you? Because this was a live show. What were your expectations? And what were you afraid of, knowing that this was going to be your first live show? And
yeah, so what I learned, and something I didn't realize that much, is when going out, your story can completely change. And by the time you come back, you have to kind of, because I remember I walked in and you were like, okay, so what's the plan? Where are we going with this? And I was like, give me one moment to think about this. But that deadline doesn't change when the route of your story changes. And so being able to adapt to that, today really taught me that, because I did not think that this story was going to go in that direction.
You've got to go there. So we were thinking of having you read up or do the timeline, and that's when we told you to go, and everybody else stepped in to help. And that's the way you should approach when one of you has this amazing story that's our top story. We let them out of the door, and just like all of you guys did, you helped out, you did the broader perspective like you guys did, and it worked out, because we had to free you just to collect the news. And you did. That was that was truly amazing. So
I was just going to talk to kind of like the working in the team dynamic perspective, and I thought it was really cool because we knew what Ashley was going to do, and she was going to collect the local angle, and we didn't even think about bringing it to a national level until you kind of brought it up to us, and I thought that really added to the story. And also it was so nice to be able to work with someone else, and like because some of our interviews didn't work out, we were like chasing, like it was a wild goose chase to try to find someone who could talk about it, but just because we had each other and we could check each other, and even going through all the data, it was so nice to just have another set of eyes to like quadruple check everything. So
all right,
I learned a lot.
That's our post show for tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.